Hi, I'd like to thank all of you for being here. And I'm Kirk Davis, with Executive Director of CAMPS, the Center for Advanced Manufacturing. And one of our members here, Dan Kocer, we're going to be doing an interview with Dan. And I'd like to introduce you to Teresa. So if you're seeing it the way I'm seeing it, she's at the bottom of the screen and she's on my left-hand side. You're right over here. And Teresa is a former manufacturer and she's a volunteer for CAMP. She's an entrepreneur, she's an author, does a lot of different things. And she's volunteered to help us do this interview with Dan here today. So it's been my pleasure to know both of these great people. And I hope you'll enjoy this interview as much as we have enjoyed preparing for it. So Teresa, go ahead.
Well, thanks for having me. I am just really excited to be here, and I am really excited to learn more about Dan's business. It's pretty fascinating to me. So Dan, tell us a little about what you do.
Sure. We've been in the Pacific Northwest and serving manufacturers and distributors and supply chain companies for 20 years now. We help them to improve their operations, improve their systems, and to also transition into that new process. So we try to come up with new and innovative ways with which they can be more profitable and increase their capacity and be more efficient.
So when you say transition, are we talking about a growth, a change of growth of product output, that kind of thing, or perhaps a diversification? What do you work with?
Yeah, it could be a lot of things. I mean, it could be that they're moving into a new market and they need help to capture that market, and they need to align their operations with that. It could be that they're consolidating their buildings from 4 down to 2. Could be that they're growing by 100% and they need to set up new transportation, new logistics, or another site. So it could be many things.
Okay, well, I'm wondering too, that it could also be that if they've had found something that is very successful and need to minimize another part of their operation, that might be useful to have a consultant for that as well.
Right, yeah, if you're downsizing, or if you're growing, those are both changes, and changes have to be managed and effectively executed and planned.
Right. And you go where the orders are coming from, right? So that's what needs to change. So your website has a lot of detailed information, and I'll be honest, a couple of acronyms, I don't even know what those mean. So yeah. You clearly have a lot of experience. So go ahead and tell us a little bit more about, I heard you mention before that you have 4 primary things. You whittled down all that information into 4 primary things that you work on. Yeah. Can you tell us a little about that?
Yeah, our website covers a lot of ground because people are looking for specific things, they can see that. But really, there's 4 things that we do. One is we help companies align their operations and systems with their new business plan. So if the new plan is to grow or consolidate or increase their capacity, they need to change their operations to match up with that. Maybe they're going direct to customer. The second thing is training the people on the floor to be better problem solvers and decision makers. And so we do a lot of lean training, lean facilitation, continuous improvement transitions. Third thing is what we call the study. They say, hey, Dan, this is broken and we don't know how to fix it. What's wrong and how do we get rid of this problem? And so we'll come in and figure out what the problem is, what the root cause is, and come up with feasible solutions. And then the fourth one that's pretty common lately is, hey, Dan, our systems don't quite work for us anymore. The new CFO wants new reports, or a customer needs new information, or we don't know how much our product costs and we need to have job costing, whatever it might be. We'll help them figure out, okay, what's the best way to get from where you are today to where you want to be with the information that you need. So those four things make up 99% of what we do.
Yeah, I know a little bit about that product cost one. That was a little painful to recost the products when the parameters change, for
Sure.
sure. So you talked about adjustments to business plans, and I'm wondering, after 20 years in business, have you had periods that you needed to go back and look at the plan, maybe come back back to the drawing board a little bit?
Yeah, now's the time. No, actually,
Great.
I was thinking about this. This is my fourth downturn that I've been through. We actually forged our company during the dot-com era when things turned down, and then we went out there, and when things are on a downturn, we kind of switch from expansion to more efficiencies, and so there was a lot of opportunity then. Then there was 9/11, which was really kind of scary because everything froze, kind of like today. Wasn't economy driven. It was everybody's waiting to see what happened. And then from there we went to the next one was the subprime, and I happened to be caught with a bunch of clients that were in the home building industry at that time. So bad luck there. And then this time through, well, every time you transition like that, you learn a lot, and it makes you a lot tougher and makes your business tougher. And it's actually kind of good. It's been good for us because on the outside of that, it helps to thin out some of the competition that maybe weren't meant to be there anyways. And it makes it easier for the clients to pick the right people. But along the way, I mean, we've made a lot of transitions. We used to hire contract. We used to work on and hire contract people. Now we have employees. We pay benefits, and we found that that's just a much more cohesive and loyal way of setting up the business. And people are tribal too, so they like to be part of a group. And then when the clients call back, then that way we know we're going to have that same person that serviced them last time. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, every single one of our projects was I'd say at least 80% were in distribution. And now things have really shifted to manufacturing. We started out with more operational and facility layout projects, and we've really, over the last decade, have put one heavy foot on the system side along with the operations side, because these days you just can't separate the two. Systems and operations are just dovetailed right together. So yeah, we've had to make quite a few transitions to keep up with what our clients need, which is that small to medium-sized manufacturer and distributor.
So I'm guessing that you are getting a crash course in social distancing for today's climate, just like everyone else. But I also suspect that your years of dealing in operations give you some benefit to how you might transition into that a little more smoothly, because this is just coming out like a fire hose. Okay,
Right.
Change what you're doing, change how you're doing it. The human beings can't be by each other.
Yeah.
So.
Well, true, and a lot of companies are having to change how they do business right now. Manufacturing in the new world, I don't even want to call it the new normal, because it's not normal. It's not going to be anything like what we were doing before. The new world is going to be different. You can't have people elbow to elbow on an assembly line or a sorting line anymore. And so what does that mean? It means people are spread apart, might have to rely on more automation and robotics. So it's an exciting time. It's a good time, and so we're trying to pivot to that and really look at, okay, what do our clients need right now? And that's one area that we can really help out with in terms of equipment, facility layout, and helping them on the system side to support that new that new world.
Hey,
Yeah,
Dan.
I think it's really great. Oh, I'm sorry, Kirk. I think it's really great that we're involved with this camps part too, because of the networking that can go on, the sharing of what's working for you. What can I learn from you? And kind of sharing learning curves
Yes.
within the community,
Yeah.
because somebody's learning something you need to know.
Right.
And I just think it's a wonderful organization.
Oh, I do too. I learned so much from the camp's members, and I think we share information all the time. And what I tell my employees is, hey, every time you get a thank you from a potential customer or another associate, that's a plus, because we're here to help people out. Our branding is we're here to help, and so doesn't matter if we're getting paid. Just go out, help people out, help them solve their problem, provide them information, and things will work out.
Hey, Dan, I wanted to bring up the fact that camps is really a community of manufacturers that are moving and transitioning towards advanced manufacturing, which that's a moving target. Because so much
Yeah.
change. I was curious about, things that you've seen progress and advance in manufacturing, and kind of, I don't know, projects you've enjoyed.
Yeah. Well, right now we're seeing robotics really coming down in price, and also coming down in complexity. I remember when we've implemented a few robots back like 8 years ago, and there would be a big cage and this big, huge, mammoth, multi-million-dollar piece of equipment swinging around. And now, you're working next to. They have sensors, so they can work next to a person and actually help you do your work, and like an assistant. And so technology is changing. In manufacturing, they're no longer just the workers, they're technicians. And so by making that transition, I think it's going to help companies in manufacturing to find qualified people, and to retain those people with better jobs than they had before. So that's where I see things moving.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, people are bringing manufacturing back. I'm seeing that more and more often, where
Yeah.
this is a real wake up call right now. And I'm seeing more and more plans for bringing manufacturing back home to the US.
Now, both of you, we've been on tours together at different manufacturing plants, and I'm hoping we can do that again soon.
Yes.
It'll be interesting to see. But I'm so impressed with how clean so many of these manufacturing places are. I mean, I don't know, this is not the same impression today as it used to be 20, 30 years ago. Manufacturing is very clean, organized, orderly. I don't know if you see that any differently, Dan.
No, I think so, because through Lean and Six Sigma training, I think many of these companies have learned that that you have to be organized, and cleanliness means less contaminants. If you look at the 5 S's, those are all important. So I think with the competitiveness and the value of the products that are being produced, quality is such a big part of success if you're going to manufacture in the US. So keeping the place clean and orderly is really important.
So Dan, I'd like to, as we wind up here, just ask, if a business is struggling, reached a pinch point, stalled in their improvements, what is one red flag that would be an indicator that a service like yours would be helpful at this moment?
Well, all those things that you said were red flags. And I would say that the thing that if the one thing that I think that they can do to really start the process is figure out what the problems are and how do you do that. I think there's just some rudimentary analysis that they can do to map out their current processes and figure out where the pain points are. The people on the floor that are doing the work, they know.
They know.
They know. And it's just a matter of sitting down with them and teaching them how to think that way and to map it out. And once you see it on paper, it becomes super obvious. And you don't have to be, it doesn't have to be pointed out to you. You go, oh, wow, we're doing that, right? So put it out there so it's visible on what your processes are, and then measure, because you can't improve anything that you're not measuring. So measure those issues, you know, and many times, you know, half the time they'll be able to solve their own problems. Now, some problems are bigger and more complex, and we can help with that, but that's always a great starting point.
I would go for my organization. One of the biggest, you know, to play on what you said about hearing from the people on the floor, was making sure that that dialogue is open, that they know they have a voice, that their opinion is valued, not only valued, but needed, necessary to encourage that voice to be spoken. You know, what they're seeing, because they know.
Yeah.
They know.
They know, and then they just need to know that somebody wants to hear them. You know, that they have a voice, and giving them a channel to feed those improvements up through, and then actually reward them or give them positive feedback, brings that out, right?
Yeah, you bet. So do you have a suggestion for anyone who is, or an example of a clarifying question that you ask when just getting to know a new potential client?
Well, I think, you know, everybody has different businesses and different goals and objectives. The way to start is, okay, where do you want to go? You know, what are your performance objectives, in terms of, you know, throughput, in terms of efficiency, productivity, customer service, quality. And then we ask, okay, which of those are you struggling with? And a lot comes out with just those two questions. And for instance, if it's inventory management, well, we just don't know. We can't get the right product onto the right shipment, or we just don't know how much inventory they have, as an example. Well, we try to ask simple questions then, like, okay, well, how do you know when to purchase and how much to purchase? How do you decide that? And those are simple questions, but very thought-provoking. And so I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, you bet.
You know, I really like that line of questioning, getting people to really envision what success looks like and what are the challenges and obstacles. And I'm sure as they describe that, and like you maybe described earlier, writing that down, looking at it on paper, measuring, you know, all of that kind of thing. This is, to me, very valuable information and helpful information. Teresa, you asked such good questions. We unfortunately, we've got to wrap up a little bit here, but Dan, is there something that you focus on in particular, that the type of work, type of project that excites you, that makes you look forward to going in and working with a client?
Well, I think all the projects in the 4 types of projects that we mentioned all excite me. I think mainly it's we just like to provide value to help companies be more profitable. And it's such a reward in the end after a project when they say, wow, this is great. We love these ideas and they're working well for us. And to see a company go from here where they're struggling to efficient and streamlined and meeting that new capacity is just very rewarding.
You know,
And that's,
something that people,
that's why we do what we do.
well, something that people are going to see on your website is you've worked with over 800 companies. You've
Yes.
had a lot of experience, over 20 years. And when I've been with you talking to a manufacturer, it seems like they get fascinated. There's some, you know, they start to talk and you understand their situation and you've been there, done that, you've seen that, and you've seen solutions. And I think people find it very fascinating to talk to you.
Well, I sure find it fascinating to talk to them. It's amazing I get to get paid for that at the same time.
That's pretty cool. Now, I want to thank both of you. Teresa, thank you so much for leading this and facilitating your questions. Because of your experience, were so insightful. We appreciate you helping us bring out these stories. I think it helps people understand the possibilities and what can happen if we have better help from the camps community. So we want to encourage people to kind of continue to network, even though we're doing that a little differently. You know, these days we'll have more information about how we network in this new environment, a lot of it more online, but we are looking forward to when we can network in person. Dan, if somebody heard this and said, gosh, it would really be helpful to talk to Dan, how would they get a hold of you?
Well, they can go to our website at kocerconsulting.com or email me. And I guess really going to the website, all the information is there.
Contact information.
Call me 206-528-0111.
Right.
And Dan, can you spell Kocer for us?
Kocer. That's the easiest question you've asked.
Yeah.
And it's right above me there. So, hey, thank you so much for your time today. And I hope everybody enjoyed this. And we'll look forward to more of these in the future. Thanks a lot.